Hello and welcome to this mini course on heuristics and biases. This is the third part of 4 for the entire course, but this will also stand alone on its own and then provide a nice supplement if you've already done this Foundations to Behavioral Finance section to add more color to it and add different types of ways that we are not very rational at times. And that's what this whole section is about. We're going to jump back and forth at times between the findings of our biases and heuristics, and then also tie them either later or immediately into financial decision making. Because after all, we're here for behavioral finance, and we want to understand not only how we behave in general, but also how we make financial decisions with these biases. So we're going to go ahead and get right started with everything today, starting with our background. And this, once again, is piggybacking from the foundation that we set earlier on we're not always rational. We don't always act rationally and behave in this homo economicus, fully rational way. And we've set that very clearly in part 1. Now we're looking at this in more detail, so we're putting some names to some of these phenomenons that we have found. But when we think about this, when we're starting out here, I want you to think about our processing constraints. So what we perceive or what we actually see here. And as we're laying this, we're not always rational, obviously. And we have these constraints, and that's what this whole section is going to talk about, how we process information, and we have constraints. So this first thing that we're going to talk about is perception. And we see what we want to see. We will jump to that conclusion. And so I have some examples here. I've got some paper here, so I don't have to jump into a PowerPoint slide. But I've got example number 1 here. And I want you to think, what is the first thing that you see? Well, we could either see, in this case, you can see the duck with the bill here, and then the eyes, or we could see a bunny on the other side here, which has the eyes, face, and ears. So again, we can see what we want to see. Next one here, what do you see? And depending on what you're looking at first, can you see, a lot of people see the vase, the white vase, or you could see the 2 faces here in black that are facing each other. Once again, you see what you want to see. And then third is, you can see a couple things here. First thing that jumps out to me is the old man's face. And then the other thing is, it looks like pregnant lady with a book looking down, if you can see that shaped the other way. Now, just to show you some examples on what we perceive and what we believe based off of those perceptions, we could see the exact same thing and have totally different interpretations. So I find that very fascinating and a nice introduction as to why we process things differently and how we have we can make some bad decisions based off of that as well. So first thing, when we're making these processing thoughts, I want us to think about a couple of the things that get in our way around that. This first thing is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. This, and by the way, you can see the notes here are already supplemented for you. So just download the whole section here and you can do the full notes, which has my view, or you could do the students and you can follow along as we go through these. That's what I suggest. Cognitive dissonance. This is when you hold 2 simultaneous thoughts which are psychologically inconsistent. So you have one belief and you are met with a contradicting thought or evidence of some other contradicting information. Cognitive dissonance is what you experience when you hold those two simultaneous thoughts. Now, I want you to think about finding information that is contradictory to you. How does that feel mentally? And what does that do to your brain? What does that do to your body and emotions? Well, if you reflect on this, typically when we're met with this, kind of hurts, and it's like a bashing of your brain, and it doesn't feel good necessarily. Now, obviously, if we can circumvent that and understand that this is actually good for us, this will help us become more informed, make better decisions. We want to embrace this. That's where we want to go. But the natural tendency of cognitive dissonance is very unnatural, and it is very, it's uncomfortable in all these different ways. And so what we tend to revert to is we tend to try to go away from cognitive dissonance, finding conflicting information about our beliefs, and we rely or we gravitate towards what we call the confirmation bias. Confirmation bias, you might have heard this before, and we definitely see this in the world around us. Confirmation bias is that we seek out information that confirms what we already believe, and it emboldens us to believe more about our beliefs. Now, I want you to think about finding information that is consistent with what you already believe. How does that feel mentally, emotionally, and even physically? Well, it's the opposite of cognitive dissonance, where you are feeling really good about how smart you are and that somebody agrees with you, and it's reaffirming what you think about this particular topic. And so, of course, we continue to go down this confirmation bias trap. And don't think that if you're on the internet that the website that you're on does not know this and are getting smarter around this. They are looking for the behaviors that you like, and they're going to reaffirm that. So if you're going down a rabbit hole on YouTube or on Facebook, they're going to put information that wants to seek your confirmation bias. Why? I'm not sure, they don't think they have a real agenda. They do want your eyes on their website and staying there longer. Which one feels better here? Confirming what you already believe, or putting conflicting information about something else? And so obviously we see confirmation bias. It happens to explain, this polarization on a lot of topics, because whatever you're believing, you're getting pulled in that direction due to this confirmation bias. And all these are around these processing constraints. So I'm going to leave you right there, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of our perception issues. And we're just getting started, so hang in there with me, and we're going to keep going down this path. So we'll see you on the next video. Bye.